Hey, Speak Easy podcast listeners. Altovise spells here, your voice manager. I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. Super excited about this particular episode because guess what? We are in a new time when it comes to our finances. And I know as entrepreneurs, you've kind of been mulling around some things. Should you keep the business going? Or, are there some other ways that you can bring finances in? Or one of the things that a lot of people have been writing in about is how do I kind of reevaluate the finances I already had? I'm excited about my guest for today. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Altovise. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be on, and I'm looking forward to share some exciting content and value with the audience.
I'm excited as well. So, this episode is going to be one that I'm going to enjoy. It's taken me some time to kind of get a handle on financial planning. And so I know this is going to be a great conversation. Introduce yourself to the Speak Easy audience, and then we'll get started on today's episode.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. So, my name is Sarry Ibrahim. I am the CEO of a company called Financial Asset Protection. We are a financial services firm. We're located in Chicago, Illinois. And this is where I'm from, Chicago, Illinois, just for the audience to know. And we help and service clients in all 50 states. We do it all virtually, all remotely. And we help do it more from a conservative standpoint of helping people build their businesses and how to truly like build predictable wealth for the future and not have to take unnecessary risks. So that's who we are. That's what we do. My background started off in insurance. I worked for a few insurance companies. Like I worked at Allstate and Blue Cross and Humana as a consultant, as an insurance consultant, and then found my way into financial services. I still do. Our practice still does insurance. We're a licensed insurance agency, a brokerage, and we still do financial counseling, financial coaching, and different areas. And our target audience are business owners and real estate investors. That's who we've niched down to and focused to. But one thing that I think that, why I want to be on the show and to share this today with you is because we do it more from a coaching standpoint, and more coaching has been a big part of my life, especially my professional life. I've worked with coaches in the past, and it wasn't just about working with coaches, but it was more so about what we kind of uncovered in a way of thinking, which is ultimately the most important part of entrepreneurship, is the way you think about yourself and the way you think about your business and the way you perceive it, and working on that perception that will either make or break your business.
I love that you said that because it's a great segue into the first point that I wanted to come on and talk about was bank on yourself. First and foremost, let's talk about that
Mhm.
because when it comes to financial planning, when it comes to the finances, most people don't trust themselves to bank on
Mhm.
themselves.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of disconnects from where people are financially and where they want to be, and I think there's a couple problems or a couple common problems, like such as number one, people don't really understand the financial situation of where they're at right now, meaning how much they have, for example, in assets, how much they have in liquid cash, how much debt they have, what kind of debt is it good debt, bad debt, what are the interest rates, how long are those terms for, all these things. A lot of people haven't really sat down and done the math on them until it's really like until it's too late, kind of. So I think that being self-aware is a huge point. Financially self-aware is a huge key to financial success, is that you want to know where you're at financially right now, truly understand where you are. And then the second step is you have to really know where you want to go. And this is where objective comes in. And this is where typically people make decisions in business, in real estate, and other areas of life. They typically make decisions either based off of objective or based off of method. So objective is what you want, and then what you're going to do, and you make decisions based off of that. And the other is you make with method, you make decisions based off of what other people have done, commonly done. So for example, if you wanted to build wealth, one method people use is they invest in the stock market. The problem is that this decision making is super important, and in the sense that you have to always choose objective before method. You want to always identify where you want to go, why you want to go there, and then act upon that. Not use a method first and then act upon that method, or just because somebody else did it. When you use method first, you're actually using somebody else's objective. So you want to identify your objective and then act on that. And the third step is you need a proven plan in place that will help you reach your objective based off of your financial awareness. So where you're at right now and where you want to go to, and then having a bridge that will connect you there, in a plan, in a way that's going to be logically and mathematically reasonable. So that is a kind of, and I think that a lack of those steps is where people are having the most difficulty with, from what we've seen from our clients, of course.
Most definitely. And that brings me into asking you, so when it comes to your journey, what has your journey been like when it's come to financial planning? Has it been a big shift, especially now that we've gone through everything associated with the pandemic, and people are making some big leaps forward, out of jobs, not wanting to go back to jobs, things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely changed a lot since I got into the financial services. One big difference is the difference between conventional financial wisdom and unconventional financial wisdom. That's kind of flipped and changed. So, like, for example, conventional financial wisdom is like, you work at a company, you work until you're 65 or 70 years old. You have a 401k or a 403b option or some sort of retirement option through work. You don't have any debt at all, zero debt. That's kind of the good life, the good financial life. And then unconventional wisdom tests that, it challenges that. So, for example, one side of unconventional wisdom is entrepreneurship. That already contradicts, you work in a company or you work for somebody else. You're already, I think all entrepreneurs are already on the unconventional side, indirectly or directly, they're already on the unconventional financial wisdom side, where they're doing things differently from other people. And you have to do things, you have to think differently and do things differently outside of your paradigm when you're an entrepreneur. So that's really one big difference there. And the second difference is that in what you do with your money. So conventional wisdom would be just save your money, save it in the stock market, or save it in a 401k, or save it in a bank account. Don't spend it, don't touch it. That's conventional. Unconventional is, hey, I'm going to take this money and I'm going to reinvest it back into my business. I'm going to buy more ads. I'm going to buy more leads. I'm going to expand my location. I'm going to hire more employees. I'm going to do things that are going to drive more money. That's already a difference in unconventional. A third difference is with unconventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom is who you listen to for financial advice. So conventional wisdom is you listen to bankers, you listen to Wall Street, and you listen to the government. Those people have your best interest in place. Unconventional wisdom completely disputes that. It would say that you don't listen to a bank, you don't listen to a financial advisor, Wall Street, the government doesn't really have your best interest in place. It's essentially another type of business. And there's things that you need to challenge in a way that how do you reduce the amount of money that you pay to banks through interest? How do you protect volatility from Wall Street? And how do you reduce the amount of taxes that you pay to the government over time? These are all unconventional standpoints. And getting into this industry, those two have flipped from conventional to conventional, like day and night. It's clear that those are differences, and I'll always stay on the unconventional side moving forward. That was one difference. And then to top it off with COVID, that has also even further changed it. So when I first got into financial services and I was kind of trained on, unpredictable times, uncertain times, it was all theory. It was all of, if it did happen or if it would happen, what would you do financially? And it was kind of just, the last time there was a recession, I was in high school. So I never really lived an adult life through a recession or through some sort of market downturn until COVID. And when COVID happened, it was like, all right, this is not theory anymore. This is not something out of a textbook. This is real life. And with clients especially, you really need to figure out a way to prevent losses during pandemics or during any market churn. So the pandemic, in other words, brought it to life and brought it from theory to a practical and pragmatic situation where this could actually happen. You could actually lose wealth overnight just from something that you had no control over. So to change that is that you want to use financial vehicles and financial strategies that are not impacted by economic or market conditions.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times we as a society have gotten accustomed to the traditional ways of doing business, the traditional ways of learning about money. And the reality is there's nothing traditional about money. What our great grandparents and great great grandparents may have done to attain wealth is no longer as viable. It's no longer as strong. Of an option for a lot of people. And so that has definitely shifted. And even with you, speaking about,
Mhm.
we went from listening to, going to a bank and in elementary school, opening up a bank account to, now
Mhm.
we're dealing with people on Clubhouse or, all these other streaming platforms or online that are giving us advice that
Mhm.
we're kind of moving into, okay, well, if it sounds good, let me try it. What is the danger in that? If just because we hear it and it sounds good, or that person may have a large following, isn't necessarily something we should try when it comes to our finances.
Yeah, definitely. That actually brings an important point of, who do we listen to? Should we just try it? And I think that in business, a lot of times you have to try certain things. You have to take risks, but there's a big difference between taking necessary risks and then unnecessary risks, right? So every entrepreneur is a risk taker, but again, you have to differentiate between taking necessary risks and unnecessary risks. Both are very different. Even the most and you could have one side where somebody's a very aggressive risk taker for necessary risks, and then when it comes to unnecessary risks, they don't take any risks at all. So in other words, risk tolerance is not a one-way street. It's not an always applicable situation. It always applies in this situation. This person is always the risk taker. No, there's different situations at different times, and that's basically based off of the necessity of that risk and the impact to one person's business. So kind of differentiating those two is really important. Now, as far as trusting people and coming to like financial literacy and who you should listen to and trying things out, again, it depends. Sometimes you want to try things out. You have to try things out in life just to learn, especially in business and in real estate investing. And then sometimes, obviously, if it's like, for example, you want to try out a cryptocurrency, where you're going to use a few $100s. I've done that before. I recommend doing that, just trying to think of different things out, seeing where you're comfortable with. Now, rolling over your life savings into a vehicle you heard about, from a friend or a neighbor, that is something I would recommend. So in other words, there are degrees to what you try and how much you are willing to take risks on. And our message, our model is never take unnecessary risks. If you don't have to take the risk, then don't take it. If it's not within your objectives, then there's really no reason to do it.
That was smart. I love that. I've come across far too many people that have been the guru, quote unquote.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then when you go and you do some research, you're like, that's not how any of this goes. And so I'm
Uh-huh.
glad that you made that plain and clear on this episode.
Uh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Hmm.
And especially
Hmm.
with the cryptocurrency. I know right now that's a big thing. Everybody's kind of jump in. Do I jump in? Have I waited too long? So definitely doing the research. And this is the other thing. So do you have an opportunity where people can come and ask you questions? They can come and consult with you, or maybe you may have, a
Hmm.
group where they can just ask questions in a group to say, okay, I don't understand this. Because I think that's another stigma that comes with it, is that if I ask a question about finances, then I'm not capable of handling my own finances.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think that from the standpoint, so I work with a lot of people who have very different backgrounds. I work with people who are So going back to the question, so it was about asking questions. So as far as the subject of should I ask questions or not, and being able to handle different situations, so I work with a lot of people of different backgrounds. People all the way ranging from who don't know, from people who don't know who who what financial literacy is and how it works, all the way to people who who own 100 real estate properties and are very financial literate. They've owned businesses for a while. So I've seen a lot of a range of clients and a range of thinking. And I could tell you that the people who are on the higher side as far as wealth and income, who make more and who have more assets than the average American, those people ask more questions than other people. That's a huge indicator. Is the people who ask more questions tend to make more money in life because they're not assuming anything, and they ask questions without the fear of judgment from the other person, meaning that before they ask a question, they're not going to think about what you're thinking about that question. They're just going to ask that question to fill in their information gap. They're asking questions to fill in that missing information, and not to paint a picture of what you think about them. So in other words, always ask questions, no matter how it sounds or how basic it might sound. Always always remember that people who are very wealthy ask a lot of questions, even basic common sense questions. And I think also from like a logical standpoint, it doesn't really make sense to, I mean, again, and this is my opinion, it doesn't really make sense to in other words, I'm working with clients to help them with financial literacy. I'm not working with clients who are already financially literate, and that's what I'm looking for. In other words, if you don't know that much about financial stuff, that's fine. That's my job. My job is to share more clarity on that. So you don't need to come to a meeting worried that that you're not going to have that much financial education for me to work with. It's my job to, and again, all financial planners should be in a situation where it's their job to share more clarity on financial strategies with their clients. So always ask questions, no matter what. Always ask questions. Never assume anything, and never think about the judgment of that question before you ask it.
I love that. This has been an amazing episode. Man, guys, if you did not take notes, it's okay. Press that pause button, rewind, and go back and take some notes. But also let them know how they can connect with you and where they can find you at online if they want more information.
Yeah, so they can go to our company website. It's finasse-protection.com. It's FINASSET protection.com. From there, you could send me an email. You could schedule a free appointment. You could download a free ebook. You could connect with me on LinkedIn. All these different things are available on the website. It's finasse-protection.com. I'll be more than happy to work with you to identify your financial situation, whether you are still in college and just wanted to start your first business, or you already own 100 businesses and you're looking to diversify your portfolio or in different situations. I can work with you at any range, and all our consultations are free. So feel free to reach out for a free consultation or for a free ebook, or to connect with me on LinkedIn through finasse-protection.com.
I love it. Speakeasy podcast listeners, we do this all for you, because guess what? Without you, there would be no Speakeasy podcast. So let us know how this episode resonated with you by leaving us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. And until next time, guys, I am your host, Altovise. Don't forget to press it out. See ya.
Thank you.